Okay, pretty much picking up from where I left off yesterday. Okay, recoveries. Hey Samantha, how's it going? Just back on the grind, trying to finish up those recoveries. Should actually be a little bit faster today. I think yesterday I was kind of like a bit moody, so. Doing some work with liquid sims and dynamic painting. Oh, nice. Yeah, I was thinking of doing something similar with my other project. You're talking about having like liquid splash and then like leave a mark or something, like a texture painted mark or something like that, right? Yeah, kind of like paint being splashed onto a wall, effectively. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out how to. I'm thinking of doing something like that with blood effects in my short. Yeah, I don't know. I've been toying with the idea. Either I'm gonna do, 'cause if I can get a system for the blood effects to work nicely, that I can reuse, that would be great. Alternatively, I considered doing all of my blood effects and stuff like that with grease pencil. Hey, McTunes, how's it going? McTunes, no worries, buddy. I appreciate the views. Thanks for popping by. I got a model I want to use for the military show. Yes, definitely. Have a good day at work. Model, sweet, dude. Nice. Does it come equipped with all of the little the armor and stuff that you wanted to use, or does it look similar? Oh, nice. So you already had something in the can ready that you just forgot about, or your friend kind of souped it up for you so that you could work with it. That's pretty cool. Well, that's cool. At least now you got it's like a completely original piece. You don't have to worry about like borrowing assets or anything like that. Everything in there is going to be yours. It's awesome. Hey, Rob. It's going well, dude. Just continuing from where I left off yesterday, basically. Just finishing up the recoveries. Yeah. And then I think I'm gonna probably keep it pretty short today. I think starting Monday, I'm gonna be designing a new character. I haven't decided. I need to have a quick chat with my brother, and we got to decide which character we want to, or which boss that we want to. So our next thing is a boss fight. So the next week or two should be pretty interesting because it'll be our first boss that we're gonna design. So we kind of have like our first minion enemy, and then we want to do our first boss, and then we're gonna kind of iterate in between to kind of fill out the gap. Yeah, so that's the goal today, is just to finish up the recoveries. I might have some time to just jump into Unreal to implement this stuff, but the goal today really is a little bit more relaxed since it's a Friday. So I just want to kind of take it a little bit easier today, finish up these things, and then I might actually stream this weekend some stuff on the short. So yeah, easy day today, easy chill day today. I won't say easy, but chill day. Hey Zam, how's it going? Samantha, your friend took some shortcuts. What is that? What's the implication here? Rob, yes. Well, probably the sculpt. I'll probably do a sculpt first, just to kind of lay down a foundation of the broader shapes. It's typically how I approach designing a character. Is I'll sculpt it, kind of approach to get the basic shapes, and depending on how complex the character is, obviously, will determine what level of detail I'll sculpt to. Because this is a low poly game, I'm not going to put too much reliance on the sculpt itself. I just want to be able to capture the basic shapes, and then I'll be able to model out the details afterwards. But there's a couple of different designs or characters that we're considering right now for the first boss monster. So yeah. The idea is a dragon that eats rocks, and instead of like blowing plumes of fire, it vomits like magma, lava. So it spits and vomits, like projectile vomits magma at you. The tricky part is, okay, well, is because it's going to depend on a bit of environmental interaction. So we're going to need we need a setting, obviously, where we can populate with rocks, or we need a way to generate rocks, which is kind of easy in the sense that we just kind of animate a rock. Maybe it pulls it out of the ground or something like that. But basically it swallows it. And I think what we want to do is, if you think of it kind of like almost like a Zelda battle, right? Like in Breath of the Wild. Well, maybe not so much, but there's almost like a cooldown timer. So when you see the animation happen, it doesn't start spitting magma right away. There's a bit of a cooldown period before it actually happens. Or maybe what we do is, as you damage it more, it becomes more nauseous, and then at some point it just starts vomiting magma all over you. Yeah, Samantha, for sure. Is it safe? If it's safe, post it in the to the Discord, the thingy, the where you can share your art, because I think others would like to see it as well too. Perfect. Okay, so that's the first attack. Kind of mapped out. Let me take a look here. It's 21. Yep. Yeah, Rob. It looked great, dude. It's a little, like I said, a little bit of reference is amazing, right? It just gets the timing, everything kind of just works out a little bit nicer. It's just more pleasing to see and things kind of working, and it gives you more confidence, right? So, and yeah, it's fantastic work, dude. All right, Samantha, let's take a look. Nice, dude. The digital camo looks great. And you couldn't get the weighting on the face mask? You could probably, in Blender, I don't know, you could probably, there's a way to copy the weights from the head to the face mask. She looks fantastic. I mean, realistically, if you plan on doing some facial animation with the jaw, like I don't know what detail you might be able to just parent it right down to the head, and as long as there's no weird deformations coming out of the face, because if you think about it, the face mask should stay relatively still, and the face will slide underneath it to some degree. You want to be able to move it a little bit, obviously, but I don't know. I think it looked great. It's really, if you think about it, if you're gonna animate any dialogue or anything like that in it, you just really need to kind of get it to move a little bit, right? Just to move along with the bottom of the chin. So yeah, it looks fantastic, dude. Do you have any blocking? Your blocking should be relatively gestural at first, right? You're kind of in the right ballpark in the sense that you don't want to lock down your golden pose right away, right? Because you need to see how everything kind of works in tandem with each other. So what I do for my initial block pass, I take it about 60 to 80% of the pose to get it. The pose 60 to 80% of the way, right? If it's what I'm really trying to look for is the big shape in the body, right? The C shape, the S shape, the straight line, the reverse C shape, or the reverse S shapes, right? And just kind of locking those things, and then kind of just scrubbing through to see how that feels. And then as things start to feel like they're hitting in a more natural way, or with some natural timing, or you'll just get a sense of how it feels. Oh, this pose does connect really nicely to this pose. That's when you can kind of go and refine the next pose. But it's if you watch an animator animate, if they're constantly jumping between each frame, or if you just watch how I'm animating and any other animators animate, if they get a chance to film the process, is that you'll see we don't stay on one frame and try to work out a beautiful pose there and then work on the next beautiful pose. It's okay, how does this pose relate to the next pose that I want, right? Is there going to be any awkward shifts? Is it an unnatural position to go from here to here, right? You're kind of asking these questions as you kind of pose things out, right? So for example, right now, I want to go for this animation to work. This is the second attack in a combo of attacks, right? So basically he's going to land. This is where his landed pose, this is the settled pose where he's kind of finished the move. And what I need him to do is to go back here. But you can see this is back to the neutral pose. Right away, I'm like, okay, there's some things that need to happen in order for this to work properly, right? So right away, I know my feet have to lock in. So my first step is going to have to be locking in that foot position relative to the rest of the body, because it's sliding backwards right now. See it? Right, so that's 34. And it's just a matter of going in here now. Whoops. And just sliding that foot, that whole thing into position. At least, it's again, it doesn't have to be exact right out of the gate. It's just an approximation off, right? So you can see. Sliding backwards just a little bit still. Okay, so that's not bad. I can live with that for now. We'll clean that up again later. It's not about being perfect right out of the gate. It's about kind of just whittling down each pose and thinking of it relative to the next pose. And then if you change the next pose, then you got to go back and you might have to tweak that pose a little bit, but it's just kind of bouncing back and forth, right? So I like to work in the extremes first. So where does he start? Where does the character end? And then, okay, what needs to happen in between? Then I start breaking the stuff that happens in between. But the beginning of the end of the beginning and the end of the shot. It's sort of like when theatrical actors are first, we get the term blocking from theater, right? It's basically you just walk to your mark, right? This is where you need to be at this time. This is where you need to be at this time. This is where you need to be at this time. And then we add all the other business that fills in the gaps afterwards. But for the most part, what I would say is what you're looking for in the aesthetic of a pose is your big storytelling poses should be pretty obvious. They should tell a story by themselves, like as much as you can, as much as a single pose can tell a single story. But think of it like a pitcher throwing a baseball, right? What is, if you break down all of the moments and the story of a pitcher throwing a baseball, right? It's that moment of focus, right? The anticipation when he brings the arm, when he cocks the arm back, right? And then you start to think, okay, well, your next pose could essentially be the release, right? Where you see the ball come out of the hand and then the follow through, right? So you want to kind of, when I say tell the story, it's tell the story of the movement, not necessarily. You also want to include the acting, the performance, and all that other stuff. But initially, as far as mechanics are concerned, you're telling the story of the body mechanic going through that motion, right? And what's happening, how when you throw, your poses should include, the big antic, as well as that change in lead and follow, right? So your shoulder is gonna, that initial drive from the shoulder, and then the elbow takes over, right? So you get this crazy succession of breaking of the joints when you throw it. You could even break that elbow and get like a C shape inside the arm. So because your arm can't naturally bend, but we can do that in animation, right? So it's effectively it's this rounded kind of shape underneath. Or sorry, when you're going back, you can break the elbow in the sense that you can reverse that shape, and then when you throw it, you're going to reverse it again, reverse that C shape again, right? With the little S shape in between to give it that little, right? So if you think about the arm breakdown, your shoulder drives, the elbow drives, right? And then your wrist slowly takes over the movement, right? Until basically that your hand is kind of leading the overshoot. I always found the baseball pitch to be a really good place to kind of work with in terms of like posing, because it's really obvious, it's really readable. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what happens when you kind of start working in 3D, Rob, is that it's like a hybrid method, right? You do it in 2D as well. It's just not as obvious, right? Because you can only work on a set amount of frames at any given time when you're working in classical animation. But you'll see if you watch a classical animator animate, they have the page flips, right, in between their fingers, and they'll draw on the top frame. They'll flip the page a few times. Oh, I like the pose on, I want to change the pose on the 6th frame here. And then they'll switch back to the 2nd frame, and they'll go to the 3rd frame. And it's the constant motion going between them to check the motion of the movement, right? That's really what we're doing when we're kind of animating but there's no right or wrong way to do it. So if your method ends up being a hybrid between pose to pose and straight ahead, which is sort of the way I work, right? Because sometimes you want to see the motion, and then you want to correct the motion as you work. Because I'm a big fan of just putting it down first and then cleaning it up afterwards. I think for me, that's the way I make art. I need to put down the mistakes. I need to see the mistakes to correct them, to understand them, right? So I just put it all down first and then start sculpting out the pieces that I don't need or that I want, or refining things that I want. Everybody's process is a little bit different. I know some people, because they were classically trained, coming from the classical animation world, they can work more or less from pose to pose to pose to pose, and they're never really thinking about the graph. You'll never see them actually in the graph editor, right? Because they want to physically touch the frame right inside the viewport. Me, I'm comfortable working in the graph editor and doing the poses and kind of working on the whole thing. I think I've learned over time in my career that every scenario is going to be a little bit different, and it's good to have a few different ways to approach a piece of animation versus saying this is the only way I animate, and and not being able to make any adjustments from there. Because I think sometimes straight ahead animation has an impulse to it that you won't get out of pose to pose, because pose to pose is very planned, right? It's very, I don't want to use the word mechanical because it's not mechanical, but it's very planned. It's very exact. It's very precise, right? And that's why you jump from pose to tweak each pose, because this pose now, it needs a little bit more push, a favor this pose a little bit more. So you're constantly juggling all the poses. Whereas straight ahead, there's like a flow, a natural timing essence to it that it's difficult to replicate in pose to pose, because you're trying to be so precise in pose to pose. Yeah, straight ahead, I think, just lends to some more spontaneity, right? There's a sense of the character allowing allowing the character itself or the way it's shaped to make some decisions versus you making every single decision in pose to pose. Yeah, I would say 60-80%, go 60 to 80% on your first pass, right? And then your second pass, you kind of refine it. You'll just start seeing things that you like or you don't like, and you kind of go in and refine that. And then once it's kind of working, then you go and add your breakdowns, right? All your little timing changes, and then that will further inform the key pose, which you'll have to then tweak a little bit more again. And then you kind of just keep doing that. Once you start in-betweening, you're going to find you might have to tweak a little bit more, or you might be completely satisfied with your key poses at that, your big storytelling poses at that point. But, it's one of those things you develop over time, I think, as well. I wouldn't shy away as well as like, just go grab any Pixar movie, Disney movie, or any movie that you like, anywhere you like the animation, and just straight up copy what they're doing, right? And then it'll inform you. You'll start to get a sense of what the animator was thinking when they were posing this stuff out, right? Oh, I like this pose. I like that pose. Oh, there's a reason I went this direction versus the other direction, right? I mean, obviously referencing is informing a lot of the decision making, while at the same time you don't want to just exactly from the reference, right? Because that becomes just kind of rotoscopy. You want to exaggerate and know how to interpret reference to maximize the performance for animation. Look, a lot of people are going to have different school of thoughts on copying work. I think mimicry is the best way to kind of understand process and understand like the shape design and shape language of other people. I don't think there's ever anything bad in copying outside of trying to take credit for copying. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't ever do that. Typically, if you're going to copy work, that's not stuff you're going to be putting out into the public and sharing with people. The stuff you want to share with people is typically going to be, it doesn't mean you can't be inspired by it and can't pay tribute or have an homage to it, right? It's like I said, it's about making sure that you're using it as a means to learn, because that's how you learn as a kid, right? When I started drawing, I drew directly from comic books. I just stole Todd McFarlane's work. I stole Romita's work. I stole, right? I would draw what they drew. But that gives you a sense of line quality. It lets you understand line quality and all that, all the things that you're not really paying attention to as a student right away, because you're picking up things that you don't realize. You're also picking up mistakes for sure, right? Potentially bad habits, but bad habits can be trained out. It's a little bit more difficult to be trained out of bad habits, but it's important to draw the things that you like, because if you approach it as an artist that's, I'm only ever going to do original stuff, you're never going to be really satisfied with the work, and you're never going to get a sense of, you can do it, right? And really copying other people's work and drawing and animation, it's again, as long as you're not taking credit for it, you're fine, right? You can show people, but you're not going to be putting it out there to earn money on it. That's what is the big difference. But I think it's perfectly acceptable to copy people's work when you're learning, right? Because that's part of developing the visual language, the vocabulary of, whether it's animation, the vocabulary of movement, the vocabulary of shapes, your visual language. You need to develop that, and I think the only way to do it when you're not immediately in school or don't have access to schools is to copy first, right? At some point, you're going to find yourself unsatisfied with copying, and that's when you've reached the point where now you have to creatively push yourself, because you're not getting the same reward out of copying people's work. But I think it's tremendously useful in the early stages. Yes, Rob. That it's totally like music, right? You when you learn music, you learn songs first, right? And then you start adding in the music theory on top of it, and then at which point you then say, "Oh, I know why this song works now," right? I understand the pieces that gets put into this because I did it before. But I think for me, the biggest thing is just it gives you confidence, right? Because when you can produce something with your own hand, yes, right? Yes, you're copying it, but it is still being produced out of your own hand. It is still, unless you're tracing it, which is, yes, you might be. I'm not saying that's completely useless either. There is value in tracing work. It's just you don't want to be doing it all the time. It's the same as using tutorials or using a large language model. It's very good to get you kind of understanding things, but at some point you want to push that aside and give it a try without that stuff, right? Because I think, but you need to build up a little confidence first. It's, I've done this before. Let me try it on my own without the reference and see what I can do without the reference. I think that's what most young kids go through when they start drawing. Is they gain confidence by copying first, and then that confidence gives them the opportunity to then try something on their own. Because I think when you do things on your own, it's very difficult to translate what you see and hear onto the screen or to the page, right? So when you're copying something, you get that feedback immediately, and it's like, I can actually do it. Right? It's just, there's obviously some pieces missing here for me that informs what decisions were being made, but it is proof that you can do it. Totally. Rob, you're absolutely right. And that a lot of people make this argument for AI, and because that's the way humans learn, is right. We learn by mimicry first, even babies, right? When they start talking, right? They're mimicking sounds. They have no idea what these things mean. They're just mimicking sounds. You ever heard a kid, like, when they first start talking, they'll mumble, right? Because they know that's how we talk. That's what talking should sound like, right? put words together and string together these long sentences. But when you're a baby, you pick up words first. So they pick up the word and then they mumble out the rest. Oh, Uncle Curtis, and we go here, right? And that's because they instinctively know there's supposed to be stuff in between these sounds. So they mumble out and then they hit the last one, right? And that's effectively what we're doing always when we're trying to learn something new, is we just kind of copy the process first, but before we have the understanding. And I think it's an important way to do it, because it creates perspective, especially as an adult, to measure, oh, this is the distance that I need to travel in order to get here. Like I said, it's entirely that it's what people argue is what AI is doing. I disagree. AI is literally distilling it down to an algorithm and reproducing, right? Where humans don't do that. Humans, we copy it, right? But then it runs through the filter of our experience, right? So if I was drawing from like Joe Madureira, John Romita, Todd McFarlane, your work will somehow land between all three of those artists now, right? Because those were your major influences. So, or maybe like you will see bits and pieces of other ones, right? Oh wow, that those hands really look like John Romita hands. Oh, the way you drew the brow here, the way you've structured the face and the hair, that looks like Joe Madureira, because it's like an homage to Japanese anime, right? Like, and if you draw Japanese anime and you also draw Westerns, your work just naturally becomes a hybrid, right? Because that's the language that you're developing in your mind. That's the shape language, the visual language you're developing. Those are the shapes you reach for. So when you do that, right, it automatically becomes a hybrid of all the things that you study. And then it becomes effectively the things that you liked from those studies, right? So I don't think it's ever a bad idea to copy. It's a bad idea to copy and then try to pawn it off as something that you did. That's the only time that it's really bad. But as an artistic, creative, educational venture, copying somebody's work, because I used to do it as a student too. I would literally lay down tracing paper and I would kind of not trace, but I would use the drawing and I would try to find, like, for example, the planes of a face, right? So if I'm drawing, there's an underdraw. Let's use this guy's head, for example, right? I'll say, okay, I want to figure out where the shape of the head is right here, or the shape of the cranium, right? And then I'll break out that shape and say, okay, where was the plane on that side of the face here? And then I'll break out that, right? And then I'll start kind of using the underdrawing to explore what the shapes that were being used. And I think that's a very good way to use, to trace and to understand referencing, understand what you're drawing from you're not going line for line, right? We're just looking at the structures and trying to build structure on top of it. And that's super good for learning. You think it'd be a good idea to have a channel where you can have resources? You know what, dude? I have actually been thinking about sharing some of the models that I do with the community, because I think a lot of people want to work with like some cool characters. My only concern is just some copyright stuff that I just don't want to, like, it has to remain free. I mean, you can't profit off of any of the stuff that I'm gonna, because they're not my character. Some of these aren't my characters, right? So, for example, I've worked on, so what I have kind of cooking in the back on a couple projects is I sculpted like a Samus Aran and Sakura Haruno from Naruto, and Samus from Metroid, obviously. But I want to release these characters so that the community can co-play with them and animate and do stuff with them. Because at the end of the day, I'm probably not going to do anything with them, right? They're going to end up as portfolio pieces or demo pieces or something like that. But I'm not going to do anything beyond put it into a demo reel. So it would be interesting to share that with the community. As far as Yeah, Samantha, that's what I was saying. Like, it's one of those things, like, I don't know, right? I need to do some investigation. I need to do some research on what I can and can't do with fan art. Because I know for a fact that Nintendo, if they don't like it, they'll shut it down. But like I said, I haven't made Samus in a way that is overly sexualized, or that it doesn't pay, I think, you know, it's a legitimate homage to that character, because I love the character. So I think Nintendo would be fine with that. But again, I don't know if I could share that model out with everybody else. But there are other ones that I can, like, for example, like I sculpted a Vegeta a while ago that I'm considering and sharing that out. And I know for a fact that the Toriyama estate, they love this stuff, right? I don't know if you guys have watched Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Like, Toriyama or before he passed, obviously, he saw it, he loved it, he was a huge advocate of it, but they are making money off Dragon Ball Z footage, right? Like, they are very much, but they didn't get sued and nothing like that, right? So it all depends on the company and the people that support that run the company, and whether or not they're gonna. But I don't think what I'm doing perverts the image of Samus, or distorts it in a way that I think they would have any issue with. Right. Then again, I don't know what the community might potentially do with a Samus, a fully rigged Samus, and a fairly accurate representation of her too. I think. I don't know. We'll see. We'll let you guys be the judge of that. But yeah. So yes, I am thinking about adding these things. Not so much a sound library, but definitely letting you guys have access to some of the work that I've done. Unfortunately, I can't, obviously, the Cinti assets, I can't hand those out because it's against the licensing agreement that I signed for when I purchased the assets, obviously. But yeah, any of my own work, my fan art, or my own original creations, I will definitely be. I think I'm gonna release Pochi out. I just want to clean it up. Pochi is that little pink dragon dog thingy that I did for the other game, but we didn't follow through with that idea, or at least that game. Can I hand out the Rossi? No, definitely not. I don't even have access to that stuff anymore, so I wouldn't be able to. That's all belongs to the studios, right? So I would not be able to share any of that stuff. I mean, I could probably model one and share that out. It's not a super complicated. There's enough footage out there that I could probably put together an entire Rocinante ship. And I don't think the Expanse, that the creators of the Expanse, would have much of an issue with me kind of putting that out there. I don't think. Again, don't quote me on any of this stuff. It's being streamed, so if anyone catches wind of this, I don't intend on doing it. I'm just thinking that I don't see why they would have an issue with it, because, again, if it's free promotion, right? It's free advertising for them, right? So as long as you're not doing anything that perverts the image or distorts it in a way that they don't like, I don't see what the issue would be. It's one of my favorite. It's definitely one of my favorite shows that I worked on, and largely because they were so supportive of all the work we did. Like these guys were very supportive of our work. Um, Mind you, there was several years of that before I had joined, so the studio had done a great job building a relationship with them. And then it's just like the reality is that it's most of the time I do work is I don't hear from the showrunners. I don't hear anything from them, right? They're just like, okay, whatever. Even after we've worked our asses off on something, we kind of just disappear and move on to the next project. I don't really hear anything, but they went out of their way to let us know these things. They gave us, and like I said, the crew jackets that they sprung for us, the wrap gifts that they would give us, like just they give us gifts, right? Like they gave a shit, right? And that's all. It's not like they went so far above and beyond, like, and ingratiated. It's just all they had to do was give a shit, right? And say, hey man, we really like that shot that you worked on. Like Naren was the guy who's like, we really like that shot. And that's my new favorite flip and burn, right? Like, and it feels good just to hear that your work is appreciated, right? Because you're not going to necessarily hear that from the fans, right? Because sometimes fans, they have every right to be critical of the work because they're the target. They're the people that are supposed to watch this. So if they're unhappy with something, it would behoove you to listen to it, right? Even if it sounds like they're just being jerks about it, sometimes there is still value in that. But yeah, the showrunners on this show were some of my favorite ones to work with and work for, just because you get the sense they care about the project, like they care about the art, they care about the story, right? And this is what artists dream about. It's not about working on the next big thing that goes viral or the next big huge movie, right? It's working on something that stays true to the vision, and then it becomes popular afterwards. Not because it's already a popular thing. It's because we put real love and sincerity into the work, and we really genuinely cared about it, right? You approach the shot like, how am I going to make this as cool as possible? What are my options here? I wish I could share with all the stuff that I did, but I just like a lot of the work was collaborative, and there was only some of the shots I got pretty much free reign to do whatever I want. But I think the coolest shots that I worked on ended up being the collaborative shots, just as it always is, right? Because you get multiple talents feeding one shot, and you get something much cooler as a result. I just the people that I worked at the studio with, everybody was great on that production, right? It wasn't like super high pressure either. Everybody understood their roles, their tasks, and everybody just got their job done. It was, and they did it well. Yeah, I loved working on The Expanse, and I was disappointed after was it the 5th and 60s? I can't remember. Everything mushes together. But yeah, they were like, yeah, the show's gonna go on an indefinite hiatus, and they're thinking of wrapping up the story as in a feature. So if the feature does come along, I'm trying to keep track of everything, but if the feature does come along, I definitely would add myself to the list of possible candidates if there is a list to rejoin that show, because I did really enjoy it, and I would love to see the ending or be part of the end of the show. It does and it doesn't. The reason I'm kind of manually doing it right now because it's the way the blender does is a bit of a pain in the butt. So there's a constraint that's built into it that I could basically turn off and on. But for reasons, I guess partly laziness, I don't like working with that until I need to fully snap the foot down, right? So for right now, it's just I just need to make sure the motion kind of works, that my idea is actually working properly, and then I'll go and properly snap it down later. Yeah, but for the most part, I just kind of manually force it through first, and then I deal with it afterwards. Yeah, also Fedorov, there's a because the way the rig is parented, it does some awkward stuff when I try to snap to that thing. That's why I'm not using the snap. In case that's what you're wondering, like why don't you just use the snap to thing? So you'll see once I think it should be. Let me check here. Will it work here? Yeah, so I get this weird offset because of the that parenting system. That's why I don't mess with it right now. Or it doesn't snap properly to the 3D cursor. Is that what is? Yeah, if it's an issue where your foot, for example, you're trying to get it to plant and you've moved this node around. So like you've moved this one around, but you want the foot to plant still, and it won't plant. It's largely because it's because of the way it's parented. It's using local coordinates. So when it pulls the data from the 3D cursor, it's pulling it relative to its local position. So it says, oh, you're over here relative to the world space, the local position space. So and then it snaps to where it thinks it would be, right? So if I do selection of cursor, it pops over there. That's because it's still measuring the world as if this was at 0, 0, right? So if I go here and I reset this to 0, you'll see the foot goes exactly to that spot, right? And that's why it's. Rob, I do the same for the most part too. I mean, I do it in a way that I know will work. So, The solution basically here in my case is just to basically kill the constraint. And I think that works. Does it work? Yeah. If I kill the constraint, it then snaps to the thing. But I don't want to constantly be animating, because they're animating this thing on and off all the time, and then I gotta animate it through each action. It can be just a pain in the butt sometimes. So I'm just like, okay, let me get it working first. Once it's working, once I know it's working, then I go in and I clean all that stuff up, right? Because then this stuff, animation cleanup, is really not that fun to watch. So just to keep us moving forward here, I kind of just hack it in, and then I do the cleanup afterwards. short break. I'll be right back. TG mate, how's it going, dude? Yeah. Samantha, who are you talking to? Me? Going well. I don't want to leave your question unanswered. I think I pretty much roughed in. I think I pretty much roughed in what I wanted to recover, the animation recovery. So I'm just gonna break it up into pieces and clean it up afterwards. I want to put it into the game and see if it actually works. Okay, so. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, Rob, it's sort of the nature of animation. It just takes a while. This is really nothing. I got a weird leg wobble here. And I don't have to do a recovery for that. Perfect. Oops, that's not right. Kick that out. Attack. Push this back to. couple of ones that I wanted to fix. It's because this. participated in a PC giveaway hoping you would win. You didn't win. Ah, it's okay. It would be nice to win a computer right now. Good lord, these prices are absurd. I wanted to upgrade because I've been running DDR4 for the last, well, since I built this computer back in, I want to say 22, 21 or 22. I looked at the price of DDR5 and it was like, ugh, I could build a whole new computer. Yeah, I built a new computer 4 years ago. I think I built this 4 years ago. But I used DDR4 because at the time it was a little bit cheaper. I didn't need I didn't feel like I needed DDR5 at the time. But then a couple of years, like, I'll upgrade it later. Of course, little did I know that the prices for RAM would just skyrocket. Yeah. Did I buy after or before that crazy? I can't remember. I think I bought it just after the prices started coming down on the graphics cards several years ago. But yeah, my computer is now starting to feel heavy, slower. Like, I don't mind investing in a good graphics card. So, like, if I buy another graphics card, I'm still debating whether I should actually go into the 50 series cards. I mean, I suppose I should, since all the other games and stuff like that will probably start using the AI tech and stuff like that in the video card. Plus, I don't know. I don't like being early being one of the early adopters of the new tech. So I've still been looking at the 40 series cards because I still think they're valid cards to work with. But who knows? I don't know. Buying computer parts and buying computer stuff is just out of the question right now. But I mean, it sucks that you didn't win because it would have been a nice little boon to your savings to be able to get a free computer. Oh, you like the AMD? Yeah, I'm thinking of yeah, I've been on i9 as well. I think I'm using the 12600 right now. It's the 12600. It's a 12800K. Yeah, I'm using the 12900K. Yeah, I haven't had too much of an issue. Then again, I've never really used an AMD, but I've heard lots of good things about the new Ryzen chips. So I'm thinking I might switch. I mean, the RAM is still prohibitive right now, but yeah, I haven't had too many problems with the 12900K. I haven't done anything crazy with it. It's all stock. I haven't touched overclocking or did any kind of crazy stuff with my build. It is pretty much just activated XMB and make sure that the RAM is working, and it's pretty much good to go for me. I guess that's the alternative. I mean, I'm running 64 gigs of RAM, so I'm okay for now. It's just that I know I don't know. I considered even switching everything over to Linux, but then that would mean if I used Unreal in Linux, I would only be able to build games for Linux. So that was out of the question. Yeah, I guess definitely said yes to the money because all that everybody's buying into the AI side of what they're doing. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Right? Windows XP, 98 and XP were probably the most stable builds of Windows. Yeah, Windows. I am not a fan of Windows 11. I hate the fact that the freaking Copilot loads every single time I start my computer. I didn't ask for it. Like, I don't want to use Copilot. Why are you forcing this on me? Yeah, I know. I've just been too lazy to go in and do the searching to disable it. I'm not a huge fan of Windows 11. It's really when I started taking serious consideration and switching over to Linux. I'm glad what Steam. I'm really happy with what Steam's doing in terms of like Steam OS. I think Microsoft has been sitting very comfortably for decades without any competition. And I think Steam OS offers, it's minimal competition for them right now, but it's a slow creep. I think as more developers and more people start looking into Linux and the fact that it's much more user-friendly now than it ever has been to get Linux up and running, especially with like distributions like Bazite, where it's like a closed, secure system, so you can't really screw it up. Everything's attached, or everything's inside the kernel, so you can't really screw with that stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I really wanted to switch to Linux, but I think I'm kind of trapped into the Windows ecosystem for the time being until until Linux either becomes more mainstream or I can build applications for Windows within Linux. I think a lot of people are on it just to maximize the fact that Linux is much more friendly to older hardware. I'm probably going to switch over one of my machines over to Linux just to test it out, just to see if it would. Yeah, right? Like I have a couple of computers that are not really doing anything. There's really old tech inside them, but I could probably run Linux to actually get them up and running again. So I don't know. But then there's the whole, I got to learn Linux. I think I got pretty much everything I wanted to get done today. It's going to be a short one today, so. Poor doggy. Needs to see some sunlight. I want to take him for a walk when there's sunlight out still, so. It's been pretty hot here, though, so. I'm going to wait a few more minutes and then. I'm going to hang out for 10, 15 more minutes, and then I'm going to call it a stream. It's so late where you are. Aren't you tired? It was almost 4 in the morning when You're a night owl, I assume. You like to work in the sleep is for the weak. I'm a bit of a night owl too sometimes. I've been forcibly trying to change my schedule because it's like because in my time off from work, I'm just getting too comfortable waking up after 10 o'clock. And that's not a good thing. I need to start kind of reprogramming myself back for a regular schedule. In the event that I have to go back to work, I won't have to suffer as much. I actually just like working in the evenings, right? I got to recondition my brain to work at other times, but but streaming and stuff like that has been helping. Just kind of setting up a specific time for me to sit down and work every day has been good outside of like an actual job. Yeah, I just like the fact that maybe it's just FOMO because the sun's out and people are out. I'm like, oh, I'm missing out on the day because now I'm just stuck inside, so I should go out and do stuff. But I like working at night just because it's quiet. Nobody's gonna bother me. My phone's not dinging, right? If I can put it on silent and not worry about missing a call or something like that, or missing messages, and I don't know. I just like the quiet of night. I like the fact that nobody's doing anything and I can just kind of sit and not miss anything. So. I wouldn't say I like it. It's probably the part of the process that's my least favorite, but I wouldn't say I dislike it. It's not the thing that I'm super enthusiastic about doing. I do it just because I like animation and it's part of the necessary process of doing it. So I've been kind of forcing myself to try to take some enjoyment out of it. So I guess the answer is yes, to some degree. Weight painting, I mean, that's part of rigging, so I kind of just do it. I don't really think too much about it when I have to do it. I just do it. Unfortunately, I don't like everything about work. This work. There's some things that I do find a bit tedious, and I think rigging was one of the things that I did find tedious. But with auto riggers, and I like the way Blender kind of auto weights and works, and just kind of Blender just sort of works right out of the box when it comes to kind of that initial when you first skin your geometry to your skeleton. The out of box result is actually fairly decent, so I haven't found myself doing too much weight painting. Where I find rigging interesting is actually doing shape keys, which I won't be doing any in the game, unfortunately. I'll be doing a ton of them when I for my short film. But yeah, I mean, I rely heavily on shape keys when it comes to that kind of stuff. When it comes to the game stuff, I was kind of like pretty shocked that the result straight out of the box was pretty good. And the amount of weight printing I had to do is actually pretty minimal for the game character, for the game stuff, which is a relief because you know, it's just more time that we got to spend doing things that isn't making a video game, right? So, but yes, no, I do enjoy the shape keys, sculpting shape keys, and getting doing expressions for facial animation. I really enjoy that. Oh yeah, you can definitely use shape keys. And can I weight paint the character for you? Probably not. If you kind of just sit down and do it, you'll kind of get into the groove. I wouldn't rely on motivation for it because you're just never gonna get it. I'm in the same boat you are. It's not something that that I'm particularly enthusiastic about. I do it because I want to do the next thing, so I just kind of bite the bullet and accept that I'm gonna have to do some shit that I don't want to do to get where I want to go, right? So yeah, the shape keys in Unreal, I'm not I'm not bothering with shape keys. It's just because the result was pretty good, and we're not doing anything that's gonna require anything. I can't think of any particular situation that I'm gonna need shape keys yet. I might, I don't know. I wouldn't rule it out completely, but I'm trying to think of any particular use case scenarios right now for shape keys. Certainly if we're gonna, when I think when we do like a character customizer, shape keys are going to be pretty much the main thing I'll be doing to do character customizations. Because that way you can, because you can blend the shape key on a slider. So we can do like, if you want a fat head and you want to make the head really, really big, we have just the extreme and you can just adjust the slider. And then we just basically lock those values and push those to the player character and just kind of lock them in when you play the character, right? So yeah. I understand the theory. I haven't worked out the actual logic and the nodes that I would actually have to use in Unreal to do that, but that seems to be, I think, the correct approach is to use shape keys for character customization. Obviously, swapping geometry in and out as well too, but in order to shape the geometry, I think shape keys would work really well. At least from what I've read, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think you can pretty much do everything you can do with shape keys. You can attach them to your rig. I don't know if you can set up a driver like in the elbow if I wanted to do like a bicep flex or something like that, where you could like set the joint to actually drive the shape key. I think you probably can. Yeah, it's a pretty standard thing to do in 3D, so it makes sense that you would be able to. I mean, there's other ways around it too, right? I could always attach an object to it and get the values from that and use that to drive it. So there's ways around it, even if it's not natively built in. I'm sure if there isn't natively built in, I'm sure there's a plugin or somebody's coded something up that would allow me to do something like that. Okay. Are you are you trying to paint the weights and rig up your character right now? Yeah. Yeah, just I like to turn on a TV show or something like that. Yeah, I guess so, right? I'm your TV show right now. Oh, right. I wanted to fix the jump a little bit because I thought it was... So make sure you you skin it first, right? So you have to make sure that there's an actual armature modifier attached to it before you try to transfer all the weights. I mean, you probably know that. It's probably just not working. If the geometry is like really, really different, it tries to match by vertice, but it's not foolproof. Yeah, unfortunately, then I think you might end up having to manually do weight paints again. I think you can re-quad if you want, but sometimes the geometry is necessary for triangles, so you got to be careful with it. I don't know if is it Shift T, Alt T, or Control T, which will remove the triangles. But the triangle shouldn't really matter too much because all you're doing is dividing the square, so there's no extra vertice or anything like that that's being connected into your, or shouldn't at least. Yeah. Again, those triangle shapes might require that they might be adding to the shape, so you got to be super careful about just unilaterally changing everything. But it is one way you can definitely try. I guess fixing it. I don't know. I mean, it's one way you could do it, but it's gonna be super laggy. Animating is gonna be a giant pain in the butt, depending on how complicated the mesh is. Yeah, you could do that as well. Well, reality is you could just animate it and then just kind of do the weight painting on the rig, on the suit later. So you can get the body, all the body animations kind of working, and then you add the suit afterwards. Unless there's some like significant change to the silhouette. I mean, obviously you're adding a suit, so it's gonna bulk out a little bit, but I don't think it should be too much of a problem to just jump into the animation first and then attach the, I guess the body armor on the rig after. Or body armor, yeah, sorry. Well, I mean the tactical rig, not the rig. Yeah, I mean, you could always try a couple of different ways of skinning, using different solvers to get the skin weights working, or at least the initial. Okay. Okay, guys, I think I'm gonna call it stream. Thanks so much for popping by today. I'm thinking of doing some work this weekend, maybe streaming some work this weekend. Hopefully that would well, at least I can kind of show you guys some samurai stuff. The short, instead of me calling it a short, so the short film I'm working on is called, well, the working title right now is called Samurai Baby. So that should give you some indication of what it's about, in case you're wondering. It is about a baby that's a samurai. So Rob, thanks for tuning in, dude. I appreciate the support. Everyone who's still kicking around, thank you so much for sticking around, and even the lurkers, I appreciate the views and I appreciate the support. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening. I'm gonna try to stream Saturday or Sunday. I don't know yet. Maybe I'll post up into the Discord and let you guys know. Anyways,